Hi everyone, it's Heather Cooper here with Playing with Paper Crafting, and this is my February online technique class, and we're featuring fun folds today. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Canada, and yeah, I just want to welcome you. I'm hoping that if you are a registered class participant, that you will sign in for me today with a hi or your name, and then I will know as people arrive when we can get started. Let me know where you're from as well, and then we can all get to know each other a little bit that way as well. So I see that we've got Terry here. Hi Grace. Grace made it. Let us know where you're from. It's a beautiful afternoon here. Probably not one where everybody wants to be inside, but maybe, oh yeah, Grace is from Oshawa. Probably not one where everybody wants to be inside, but okay, there's Wanda. Wanda's from Penticton, which is pretty close to where I live. And hi Terry. Terry lives close to me. So, hi Vaughn. Yep, she's watching from Merritt. Glad you were able to pop on here. And Lisa and Steph are here. They live West Kelowna as well. Good, we'll just wait for a few more people. And while we do that, I'm going to get people also to, just so that I can know how to set the pace of the class, I'm going to get people to let me know what their level of stamping experience is. So I'm going to get people to do that by just typing in a number, and this is how it goes. So if you are a ranked beginner, you haven't done this more than, say, twice. Hi Tammy from Oliver. Hi Kim. So if you haven't done this, so if you've done this, you know, maybe once or twice, you're pretty much of a beginner. Then you can type in a 1. If you have been to a few classes, maybe, you know, have a kit or a couple of stamps, then type in 2. If you have a few supplies and you've made a few cards on your own, you can type in 3. And if you're an avid stamper and you do this all the time and you've got lots of supplies, then type in 4. Hi Noreen. Okay, so I'll just go over that again. So I want you to type in a number, and don't be shy because we all have to start somewhere. And this is just going to let me know what kind of pace I have to set here. So if you're a ranked beginner, you're going to put in 1. If you have, you know, made a couple of cards before, maybe have a couple of bits of supplies, then you're going to do 2. If you have some supplies and you make, you know, you made a few cards, Sue is a 5, then it's 3. And if you're an avid stamper, you collect supplies like, you know, collect stamps and tools and paper like crazy, you're going to be a 4. Okay? Okay, Lisa, it's great because you've got Steph there to help you out. So it looks like we're at the upper end, so I can pace the class a little faster, it looks like. Both level 4. 4. Yeah, Kim. All right. Looks good. All right, so I'm going to fumble with my camera here. This is the part I hate. I'm going to readjust it. Okay, Yvonne. That's good, but you're watching, you're not making cards, so this will be more informative for you. That's okay, Sue. I thought it was like really, you were really enthusiastic there, so all right. Okay, so I am going to fiddle with my camera and adjust it to show my workspace, and wish me luck on that. I practiced this twice, so hopefully it all goes well. So I'm just going to cover up the camera for a few minutes while I adjust it, and we'll get started, okay? Okay. All right. Hopefully that works for everyone. Now I'm going to be watching your comments on my tablet, and there is a bit of a lag with that. So if I don't respond right away, you let me know. Yeah, don't be, I'm not ignoring you, it's just that I don't see it right away. Maybe I can stand and see your comments up here. But if I have to sit down, I won't see them right away. Okay, so we're going to do 3 fun fold cards today. And I'm just going to get them out and show you the 3 that we're doing. Oh, that was a disaster. Should have just left it where it was. Everything's kind of precariously balanced here. Okay, so this one is called a lever card. All right, and it opens like this. Like you could go like that totally, but this just pulls right through. All right, that's the one we're going to do first. This one is called an accordion card. And you just pull off the belly band of that one and open it up like this. This one is a little hard to, open up. You have to lean it against something to display it. And this one is called a crossover card because it opens like this. Okay. So those are the 3 that we're going to be doing. I'll just get these out of the way. This one features products from a celebration reward. This is one of the big rewards. I'll show you where it's in. It's in our celebration brochure. Celebration is over in a week. It's a real short one. This year because we're going to have another celebration in July and August. So it's a level 2, which means you have to order $120 worth of stuff to get it free. But it's quite beautiful, as you'll see as we work with it. So it's the Berry Blessing stamp set, which is this one here on page 14 in the celebration brochure, and then the Very Delightful Designer Series paper, which I really liked the more I used it. Okay, so we'll get started. Now, one thing you'll notice is that everything you need for one card is enclosed within the envelopes. So if you pull out carefully, mine don't have envelopes obviously, but if you pull it out carefully with the envelope still wrapped around it, you won't lose anything. And then all the little bits are in a little plastic bag. Okay, So we're going to start with our card base. This one I've die cut the opening, this opening here, with the stitch-shaped dies, which are a really useful set of dies. I use them all the time. And I'm going to use my bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, I'm sure most of you do, judging by your level of expertise, I'm just going to fold it. Make sure it's got a nice crisp crease in it, like that. And then I'm going to take the insert, and we're going to do an accordion fold, or a Z fold in it. So I'm going to fold one side towards the right, like this, and then another one the other way. These should actually be even, and mine don't look very even. Not sure why. Hope yours are. I'm going to adjust it a little bit. So this was a 6x5 piece of cardstock. And it was to be, just going to match that up again and try and even that out a little bit. So it was supposed to be scored at 2 inches and at 4 inches along the 6-inch side. So it should be even. So it's probably better to just even up the edges to make sure they're even, and then take your bone folder to them if you have to. Okay, so now I guess we can do some stamping and add the papers to it. So we're going to take the white piece that is 1 7/8 by 4 7/8, because it's 5 inches this way, so it's just 1/8 of an inch short here, and we'll stamp on it. Okay, any questions so far? So remember, you're trying to get at least one of each card done, and then you can complete the second card from the example or from the replay that I'll send you. So if you registered for the class, I will send you a YouTube replay, a link for a YouTube replay, and then you can finish in your leisure. And if you weren't able to make it for the class, then you'll have that YouTube replay. So this is a stamp from the Berry Blessings stamp set here. And I'm just going to stamp a raspberry right about there. And because it's red, I'm just going to clean my stamp off right away. It's going to be stained anyway, but okay, I don't need this is Poppy Parade actually. So if you have Poppy Parade, that's great. If you don't, any kind of red will do. And then I'm going to use a garden green. And this is the sentiment. Now, any kind of sentiment that's, about 1.5 inch square, or 1.5 inch wide anyway. I'm just gonna, didn't look like it inked up very well there. Just gonna stamp that in below. You always have a way of making my day. Clean that off. And then we have a little stem that I'm going to add to the raspberry using Sahara sand. And I need this Sahara sand again for another one of my cards, so I'm going to leave it out. Okay, and I'm just going to add that little cap right about there. Oh, the white cardstock is 1 7/8 by 4 7/8, Tammy. Sorry, Lisa, could you ask me your question again? I'm not sure what you wanted to know there. Save that. Lisa, if you could let me know what your question was, then I'll be able to answer it again. I'm only getting like 2 comments at a time here. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. Oh, the number system was telling me what level of stamping they're at. So 1 is a rank beginner up to a 4, which is an avid stamper. So that's, you rank yourself somewhere in there. It was just to let me know how to pace the class. Does that explain it? Okay. So I'm just going to add some adhesive. This is my snail, not snail, seal. And I have a little hint for people that have a hard time getting their seal going again or moving after it's been sitting for a while. If you have a silicone craft mat or craft sheet, just do a little run on that craft sheet and with your seal, and it'll get going right away. Okay, now we can add the other colors to it. So you have I've got too many here, I've got some extras. You have one with berries on it, which goes here, and one with a check or a striped one that goes here. Okay, so I'm just going to add some seal to the back of those. See, now it hasn't started again, so I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. This is a silicone craft mat, so I'm just doing a little bit of a run on there, and it starts right away. Really handy. The reason that it does that, the reason that it retreats and doesn't get going again, is because it's a stronger adhesive than the snail was, which is good because that means that it will hold and not lose it, lose its adhesiveness after your card has been around for a while, which is what happened with snail. It's why I wouldn't use a snail for a card that I was giving away. Having trouble getting this straight here. So this definitely keeps its hold for a long time, but because it's so elastic, then it shrinks back on itself after it's been sitting for a little while. So that's when that craft mat comes in handy. You can advance it with your fingers as well, but then you tend to get adhesive on your fingers. Okay, and then I'm going to add this here. Okay, so that's ready to go. And we can add this. We're going to center it and leave about 1/8 of an inch on the side. So I'm just going to add some more adhesive. See, it doesn't take long before it's shrunk back. on, baby. There we go. All right. About 1/8 of an inch. Everybody see what I'm doing here? Okay. So now, when we fold it, I'm just going to give it an extra little rub with my, we have something that looks like that, and this is where we're going to adhere our little square here. So we're going to put this together, and then we're going to adhere it onto that square. Okay, so basically we're just going to add the adhesive onto that and fit this right into that hole there, and then we'll get the adhesive where we need it. Okay, so we're going to add this white onto the Sahara sand. And this is the one that I die cut right from the hole there. Okay, nope. Waited just a little bit too long. It really doesn't want to go here. Okay. That paper is just so smooth. Okay, center it. Okay, and now with this closed tight, I'm going to add some adhesive. You could use glue or other tape runners if you have them. Just a couple of strips in there. And fit this right into the opening, and then I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure it sticks. And now we have the basic mechanism all done there. Okay, how's everybody doing? Am I going too fast? Everybody keeping up okay? You can give me a thumbs up, or actually maybe give me a B if I'm going too fast. And if I don't see any B's, I'll know I'm doing okay. Okay. Seeing no B's coming up here, we're going to stamp our sentiment. That's going to go on the front, and it's going to go on this little piece, this flag that I've die cut. So you'll need a fairly thin sentiment. I'm going to stamp it in the red again. And this says Bountiful Blessings. So you need something fairly thin to fit on there. And can she do it? Luckily I have two. Oh, look at that. All right. And we can put that right away. Okay. I will try and slow it down a little bit then, Terry, no worries. Okay, so we've stamped our sentiment. We're going to add it to our plaid backing, and then add that to another backing. Okay, and these are all just glued flat on. This is a good card for mailing. Back to my craft sheet here, or silicone craft mat. Adding a little bit of adhesive. Didn't want to get it on there. We'll center it on here. Okay, and then continue to add some adhesive. I find the designer series paper is really smooth and doesn't grip or doesn't grab the adhesive like the cardstock does. Okay, so I want to center it on the cardstock like that, and then I'm going to add that right to the card front. So if you've come this far, you're doing great. So now we're going to make strawberries. If there is a stamp set in the occasions, or not the occasions, the January to June mini catalog that you can use to stamp strawberries, and then use the strawberry builder punch, this one here, to punch them out. I did not buy that stamp set, but I wanted you to have something that looked a little more realistic. So I punched out 4 pieces of strawberry, and I'm just going to show you how I did it. So I used a thin strip so that I wouldn't get all the extra bits in there, and I just punched out 4 of those. And then I took my blends, my dark Poppy Parade blends. Let me just get rid of that little piece there. And I took the marker end and I went all around the edge. And each of you had 8 of these. And there were about 15 of you, well, including me, 15. That was a lot of strawberries to make. So I just basically ran it around the edge and then added some seeds on each side. A couple of rows and a few extras, like that, just so it would look a little more realistic. And then I scored them so they'd be easier to fold in half. So you're going to fold them in half with the seeds on the inside, okay? And use your bone folder to crease them. And don't rely just on that score line. Make sure that the edges actually meet. So you need 4 of these for each strawberry. You need 2 strawberries, right? 1 for each card. And then I punched out the strawberry top from some Gordon Green. Okay, so now we're going to put this together. So I'm going to start by adding some adhesive to one side of the strawberry. Just one side. And then I'm going to line that up with the side of the next strawberry so that the curves meet there, or the creases meet. Okay, then I'm going to add some more adhesive, like that, and I'm going to match that up with, sorry, I'm getting out of. Oh, great, Carol. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so matching that up. And then I'm going to add adhesive to both sides for the last one. Put that on my work surface. Just gonna get rid of that. And then I'm going to match up both sides. So I'll start with this side here, match that up equally, and then close it off like so. So then I have a four-sided strawberry like that. And choose the side you want to be the front, whichever I did the best job on, making strawberry seeds. And then we're going to just use, you could just use regular adhesive, you could use glue. I'm going to use a glue dot, if you have glue dots. And just put a glue dot on the back of the strawberry husk or hull, whatever you want to call it, like so, and add that. And then on this one you can add adhesive. Clear it up here and add that to the middle of my square here. Okay, and that is the first card done. Any questions about that card? Okay, well, I'm going to give you a break to tidy up all that stuff from the first one and get what you need out for the next card we're going to make, which is the accordion card, this card right here. And I just need to clear away some of this stuff and get ready for the next one. Grab a drink or a muffin or whatever you have and meet me back at 5. Now for this one you need a little bit of some kind of a sort of a dusty rose kind of ink for this one. I'm using Rococo Rose, which is one of our ink colors, but any kind of dusty rose kind of pink will do. You can see the colors that we have in the package. This is the stuff that we're using. And we need some neutral. I'm using Sahara sand. So some kind of neutral like that. Oh, okay, that's great, Wanda. Sounds like a good one. Oh, and I think I should have packed. Darker one, but I think we'll be good. Okay, is everybody ready to get going on the next bit? I'm glad you like that card. Okay, so we have 3 bits here. Oh, I'm missing a bit. Oh, there it is. So you have a 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of the Rococo Rose cardstock. And then you have 4 1/4 by 11 piece of the Rococo Rose, and that has been scored at 3 inches, at 5.5 inches, at 8 inches, and at 9.5 inches. Okay, so I'll go through that again. At 3 inches, 5.5 inches, 8 inches, and 9.5 inches. Okay, and that makes the accordion fold here. So we can do that scoring. I've already scored it for you at the 5.5 because we want, I needed to fold it to fit into the card packs. And then folding back again, we're accordion folding is what we're doing, which makes sense because it's called an accordion card. And then folding it back again. And this is how it's going to be attached to your card, like this. Okay. And I've given you a piece of, this is thick white. Now the Whisper White is gone, although I'm still using it up. And you're getting basic white from Stampin' Up! Now, but I hear it's, yeah, I will, Terry, sure. But it's basic white, but I hear it's very, very close to the Whisper White. And in fact, it's a brighter white, which is kind of nice. Okay, so here's your cardstock. And it's 3, so you're going to fold it over at the 3. And then I'd already folded it back at the 5.5. Okay, so fold it this way for the 3, back for the 5.5, forward at the 8, and back at the 9.5. Is that good, Terry? You give me a thumbs up or something. Okay, so over this way for the 3. I already folded it back for the 5.5. Over this way and back. Okay, so let's start with the thick white. It was embossed using the subtle 3-dimensional stamping or embossing folder. Okay, and it just gives a really subtle texture to it. I've got a mark on mine. Luckily it won't show. Or I can use this side. There we go. All right, so I'm going to add adhesive. Need to get it going again. Doesn't want to go. There it is. And I'll center it. Make sure it's straight. And I'm going to turn my card over. Now, on the back is where you could write your greetings, or there is a place inside. Right here is where you can also write your greetings. Okay. All right, so let's get the designer series paper on these. I'm just going to make sure that I've got these nice and tightly burnished with my bone folder. Okay, I need these bits of paper here. So I've got this, but I think the first thing to do is to take this narrow piece of designer series paper. This is from a really beautiful set in the mini catalog. It's part of the Love You Always suite, and it is the Love You Always Specialty Designer Series paper, which comes in, well, you see the 3 designs in your package, because I used all 3 of them. Sahara Sand, Rococo Rose, and Blushing Bride. Okay. All right, so I think if we put this little guy on, and he is right next to the edge there, then we'll know where to put how to add the white. And the reason we have this narrow strip is oops, that's a little bit too far out. Move in so you can see a bit better. Is so that when we add this strip on here, it'll look seamless. Okay, now on here we're going to add a sentiment. My thoughts are with you. So we're going to do that in, what did I use? Oh, it looks like I used a darker color. I guess I'll use the Sahara Sand for that. I just re-inked my Sahara Sand, so it should be fairly dark. Okay. Give that a clean. This one is from the Prized Peony stamp set. This is in the annual catalog. It's a really beautiful set. And on the belly band, this peony set dies here are bundled with this stamp set. Okay. Okay, now let's add this. That's probably enough adhesive. even that up. These pieces are 2 1/4 by 4. Or 2 1/2 by 4, sorry. All right, 2 1/4 by 4. Okay. And this one is 1 1/4 by 4. And the other two are 2 1/4 by 4. So this Sahara sand fits on the front panel. So just center them. And then comes the blushing. Oh, we leave this one plain. We leave this one without anything. You could add another white piece if you wanted. Or whatever you like, actually. This is the Blushing Bride. You just want to make sure that the top edges are pretty much aligned. And now the Rococo Rose. Such a pretty color. Reminds me of my bridesmaid dresses when my husband and I got married back in the late 70s, 1978. They had Rococo Rose dresses, which was nice, but then all the groomsmen wore a kind of chocolate brown, which is kind of gross, but oh well. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to add this to our card base. So we're just going to center it. Oh, and you know what else was gross? Is when we got to the reception, never thought to ask, because we assumed that no wedding venue would be stupid enough to do this. All the tablecloths on the tables were orange. Can you believe that? I wanted to cry. But in the end, it really didn't make any difference, and it was just a funny story to tell afterwards. But Rococo Rose and orange. Yeah, Dusty Rose, exactly, Terry. Dusty Rose and orange. Looked so good. Yeah, one of my bridesmaids was decorating the hall, and she phoned my fiance, and she said, "Don't tell Heather, but or be careful how you tell Heather, but all the tablecloths are orange." Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Okay, I guess maybe we'll fold the belly band now. Okay, so I have folded one end for you because I needed it to fit inside the package. So if you just want to snug that up against the side, this one, you don't want it to be too tight because you want to be able to slide it off easily. So give it a bit of slack, okay? Don't make it like super, super tight. So wherever it folds over, you might even want to back it up a little bit. Okay, now when you've got sort of a basic crease there, then make sure that the edges are even. And then push back with your bone folder to give it some room. This is really in the way here. Okay. Then you can move it back over your card and see how much overlap you have. and just put maybe one thin strip of adhesive right along that side there, and then fold it over like that. Okay, and that's your belly band. You're keeping this at the front because it's going to be covered up, and that way nobody sees the join. Okay. All right. So now we're going to make the little label and our peony, and I think I'm going to have to sit down here. My back's getting sore. Okay, so in your bag you should have a little die cut piece of white. This is from a very useful die set, which I didn't show you in the last one, but it's Tasteful Labels. And I think I have that in the regular catalog here. Tasteful Label dies. They bundle with Tasteful Touches stamp set, but these I use and I use and I use and I use. So if I were going to recommend a set of labels or a set of dies to you, I would recommend these for sentiments. They're really good. And they have really nice edges to them. They look really nice when you cut them out, and you can layer them, which is also really nice. So that's my what's the word I'm looking for? Recommendation for today. Okay, so I am going to, first of all, add a little background. Just going to get a piece of scrap paper so I don't mess up my work surface here. I'm going to use Sahara Sand, and this little background texture is from the Prize Peony. It's this stamp right here. So I'm just going to ink it up and Sahara Sand, stamp it off once. I want it quite light because I don't want it to take away. And I'm going to stamp it off again and flip it, and just don't want to overlap it there, come up there. So it just gives a little bit of background. And get rid of that one. And now we're going to use the Rococo Rose for the main sentiment. This one is from a set called So Sentimental. And this one, I think, oh, yeah, I forget which die set it coordinates with. I think it's stamped so sweetly. Stitched So Sweetly. That's the name of the die set that it coordinates with. There we go. Sending healing hugs. When I say bundles, I mean that if you buy the stamp set and the dies together, you save 10%. Okay, and then we can add the two here. fits just inside the stitches. This bottom one is from the Stitch Shape dies, which is another really useful die set that I use a lot. Okay. Now we're going to put together the peony. So you have two sets of peonies and they start with this big one, but I've put them in order of the way they go together. So if you want to lay them out in that order, with the wavy edge and then the edge with the, well, they don't always have the split in them, but they look like this when you've got them all laid out. And then that little brown piece is the center, but we'll put that in afterwards. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do a little bit of curling and sponging. So the top part we're going to curve backwards just a wee bit. I'm using my thumb and the bone folder, but be careful because you don't want to tear the, you don't want to rip off the edges there. So, and then from this split outwards, you want to curl them out a little bit. But again, be careful because you don't want to rip the joins in them. Might be easier to curl outwards first, and then you can curl the top. So maybe just insert your thumb or finger or something in there. Just curl those edges out a little bit. It just gives a little more dimension to your flower. And then curl these back. These are the peony dies, and when you first look at the set, you go, what? But once you remove the sets that cut out the outlines, and then these four pieces that go together to make the peony, and then there's some that make the leaves, and they're not as mind-boggling as you think. But these are layering dies, which I love. I've been waiting and waiting to get some from Stampin' Up, so I was ecstatic when we finally got them. Other companies like Altenew have done layering dies for a while, and they're just so beautiful. This one, you can't really tip it out very much, so I'm just going to leave that one. Okay, now we're going to use our Rococo Rose and sponge a little bit on the edges. So I'm taking my sponge and adding a little bit of ink to the sponge here, and then just, I'm sitting down, so again, if I don't see your comment, it's because there's a bit of delay on my feed on my tablet, which is what I can see right now. Maybe I should stand up and just check. Yeah, nope, nothing different. Is everybody doing okay? So I'm just flicking my sponge along the edges. Now we'll get some along here. Just to add some definition and a little bit of variety to our flower. And along the top of this one. Okay. All right, now we're going to start putting them together, and we'll start with the smallest ones first. And basically these bottom edges will line up. It doesn't look like they will, but when you see them put together, it's kind of amazing. That was me drinking, sorry. My throat gets really dry. So this slips in through the opening. Like so. And then it slides down and matches the bottom here. And then looks like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, and I'm going to use liquid glue for this. So I've got brand new liquid glue. Okay. I'm just going to shake it down to the bottom, and I'm going to just add a thin bead of it along the edge here. It's very eager glue today. Just a thin bead. And then I'm going to rematch those edges. So you can't go wrong with putting this together because of that matching feature. Just match up those edges. Okay. All right, now we're going to slide them into the next sized one, like so. And figure out how those edges match. They match like that. So I'm just going to slide them back up a bit and add a thin bead along the edge here. I don't know, I find it's like really fun to put these together. Anybody else? Oh, okay, which part, Wanda? Is it the matching up the edges or sponging? Maybe I'll move it up a little bit closer. So do you see how these edges match up? You slide the next sized one in through that slot, and then turn it over and match up the edges at the bottom there. Okay, good. Okay. And then the final one, you're going to slide it into the slot here. There's not a lot of room. And then you've got to figure out, let's move it up a little bit closer here for you. Hopefully that. And you can see that's where it matches up, this little point here. All right, so I'm just going to slide it back again. And starting from there, just add a thin bead of glue. Come on, glue, don't be so eager. It's a brand new one, I guess. Okay, and then just one more time. Slide that to meet there, and there, and there. There, okay. Wipe that excess glue off. And there you have your lovely peony. Looks like it could use a little more sponging along the edge there. And there. All right, now we need to add the center. And that one is going to slip right into the middle here. Okay, you can decide how much you want to have sticking out. Okay. Glue dot. Yeah. And you could put it on the back or the front. I don't think it matters too much. Stick it on the back. And maybe hold it open a little bit with the bone folder so I can get it in there without it sticking. Yeah, doesn't want to do that. There we go. And then just squeeze it together. And then you can curl out the little bits. Okay. All right, now we need our belly band here. So I think I'll just add some adhesive here along the back of my peony. And add it to the, just make sure that where you're adding the adhesive, it's not going to be on enough to stick the belly band to the card itself. And then if you have some dimensionals, you can add them to the back of this, and just make sure again that you're not adding it to the very edges, because then it'll interfere with the movement of the belly band. So keep those towards the center. And, you know, like I'm putting these toward the outside because that's where the healing word is. Like, that's the way it's going to go sideways. So that's okay. It's just the top and the bottom. You don't want to have them on. And add that. And there's your accordion card all finished. Okay, everybody good with that one? Any other questions? Okay. All right, I'm going to tidy up this bit. You can grab yourself a drink or have a little bit of time to finish up before we go on to our last card, which is the crossover card. There's a warning for this card. It involves some fussy cutting. Just so you know. All right, so this is our crossover card. It's kind of fun. And to start, everybody ready to go now? Okay. So some of you may have slightly different pieces of paper, but they're all from the same suite, and they're all very, very pretty. The suite is the Peony, one that I showed you before. Let's see. It's from the annual catalog. Peony Garden. It looks gorgeous. So that's where that die set came from. And this is the paper, the Peony Garden Designer Series paper. And the stamp set is the prize peony. And yeah, and then the greeting that we're going to use, or that I'm going to use, I don't know what you will use, is the hello here from the Good Morning Magnolia set. Move that up a little bit. There. That hello there. Okay. So this is a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of paper, and it's scored at 2 3/4 inches from each end. Okay. So we're just going to fold both of those towards the center. One of them I did for you, again, so it would fit in the packages that I mailed out. And we're going to make sure those meet exactly. And then fold those. Okay. So then you have a piece of backing paper. And this color is gray granite. So we want to center that and fit it into center it in the middle there. And this is also pretty. It's so hard to add adhesive to some of these pretty sides. Oh, maybe, there we go. I can hardly stand it. But I know I'll use some of the other ones, the other beautiful ones, for another project. Okay. Maybe this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I just love these beautiful colors. Okay. And then you have a piece of, this is thick white, just to give it some strength. So I'm centering that and adding that to the middle. And this one is 3 1/2 by 5. Just move that out of the way here. So I'll move the card. Everybody doing okay? So some of you will have 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 for the designer paper. But what was happening was I was using up so much paper, because ideally if you can cut it in 4 by 5 1/4, you get so much more paper out of your designer series paper that I ended up cutting most of them at 4 by 5 1/4. So not quite as much shows, but otherwise I was not going to have enough paper for everybody in time for the class. So when you're designing classes, you have to use your paper efficiently. Okay, then you have some panels for these sides, and they are 2.5 by 4, and they fit along here. Okay, so we can add those. And again, just center those. Okay. Alrighty. Then you have 3 pieces of thick white, and they are 4 by 1. And then you have some designer series paper that is 3 3/4 by 3/4 to fit on them. Now, most of you will have this paper. Some of you, like me, will have a choice because I ran out of that other paper. So you will either have this beautiful lighter color here with the roses, or if you want that darker petal pink, they're both petal pink, but this is the darker color, you can use this or you can use this. I just wanted to give you a choice there, okay? Because that darker color really looks nice. Oops, that darker color really, really plays up the color scheme. So, yeah, I'm going to let you decide what you want to do with that. You've got those 2 choices if you don't have the original color. Okay, so I'm not sure what I want to do. Maybe I'm going to go with this on 2 and the floral on 1 in the middle. All right, so we're just going to add this. There we go. Center that. Two with this darker petal pink. And I'm using both designs because I'm so decisive. There. Okay, now the tricky part of this card is just making sure that I get these lined up evenly. So what you're going to do is sort of decide where you want them to go ahead of time, and checking the placement from the outside. If you're really precise, if you're a really precise person, you can measure. I'm not. Sometimes I should be. Okay, so they need to come that way a bit. So it looks like they're about 1/4 of an inch, well, maybe 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the bottom with about 1/4 inch in between them, and about 3/4 of an inch from the outside. Up a little bit. Okay. So if you have a pencil, you can kind of maybe mark a little bit and erase. Okay, so these two, top and bottom, are glued onto this side and left loose on the other side. The middle one is glued on this side and left loose on the left side. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to add glue. You don't want to add too much. This is going to be difficult again. There we go. So maybe 1.25 inches of adhesive will do it. Okay, and that was about in the middle. About 1/2 inch. Yeah, right about there. So just cover that up. Maybe move it that way a wee bit. Okay. And the same with the bottom one. I'm putting in the top and the bottom first, and that way I can center the middle one. So I want it to be even with that. Up about the same amount. There we go. Okay. And then the third one, remember which side you want it to be on. Okay. So we want it to match those two sides, and we want it to be equidistant from the other two. There. And that's the trickiest part of this card done. Okay. All right. Now you have a very tiny piece of white cardstock that we're going to stamp the sentiment on. So you need a very small sentiment that will fit on that. If you don't have something that size, you could just leave that part out. You don't need to have a sentiment on the outside at all if you don't want to. I'm going to attempt to stamp this on camera. Drum roll, please. So if my head gets in the way. Look at that. I don't know, that's 0 for 3 or whatever. Anyway, okay, and now this can be glued on here. And that's all the stamping that needs to be done today. So again, my adhesive, and add that right about there. Okay, here comes the fussy cutting part. You will have a couple of peonies in your supplies, and what you want is to die cut enough to fit right across the two banners. Okay, I could just do these two. You see that? I could just do these two and they would fit, so I don't really need that third one. but you can decide which ones you want. And then just die cut those. You don't need to include all the petals. Yeah, you could just die cut the ones that work for you, and then just fussy cut those out. This is like watching paint dry, I know. I'm sorry about that. You could even add your own edges to it by cutting. I have to remember to do this on camera and not in my lap. I have the hardest time with that. Okay. This is from the True Love Designer Series paper. And it's from that Love You Always suite that I showed you right at the beginning of the class in the January to June mini catalog. It's very pretty. And I'm just going to add my own. There we go. I'm just going to make these my own petals, even though they're part of the other flower. If I cut that other flower out, you will never know. See that? This is really useful that way. Just add that little leaf in there. Cut that petal right off. There we go. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Okay, now I want to glue this onto these, only these two. Okay, so what I'm going to do is sort of decide where I want them. I'm going to open up this card like this, and then I'm going to draw a line with my pencil, very light. Line with my pencil, showing where to add adhesive. Maybe I should give you a minute or two to finish cutting. And you know what? I think I will use glue dots for this. But you could use glue, you can use snail or Stampin' Seal. But glue dots is a little more exact. And they have a very strong hold on them. So I'm going to add a couple of glue dots within the boundary of those pencil marks, like so. Maybe one more. Right in the middle there. Everybody doing okay? Okay, and now for the bottom. Just had a comment that was on Messenger there that I wanted to check. Okay, just two are necessary on that one because it's smaller. Okay, so now I'm going to open it like this, and I'm going to place those right along that pencil line. Maybe to pull it down a little bit, and that right along the pencil line, like so. So So it's attached to those two. Okay, and then we just slip that inside, like that, for our card. Now our last step, looks like I need to score my edges a little bit more, burnish my edges a little bit more, so they stay closed. The last step is to add our embellishments. These are champagne rhinestones that I've given you. And I didn't cut any out especially for myself, so I'm just going to use my package here. Okay, so we have one large one. There's my large ones here. Actually, I'm going to use my take your pick tool, the Swiss Army knife of crafters, and I'm going to use my paper piercing side here. Okay, so one large one. I'm just going to put that right up here on the edge of the hello. And then some medium ones, a couple of medium ones. One up here, and one down here, a little bit over here, and then a teeny one just to the side of the hello there. Let's give a little extra weight too. It helps to keep that flat. Okay, and actually that's that card. We're all finished. I just wanted to say that if any of you paid, you know, just for the card pack, the $20 for the card pack, but you saw some products that you really liked and you would like to order them, I will put the $20 that you paid me for the card pack towards the purchase of some of these products that you might be interested in. You could go to my online store and order them and have them delivered directly to you, or you could message me and I can add whatever it is you want to the group order that I'm putting in. But I'll need to hear from you today for that. And oh yeah, and there is, if you're going to order yourself from my online store, there is a post code that I would love if you used to keep all these orders together. And I will post that again. It is on the site right now, on the event site. I will post that again on the event site, just so that you're aware of it. Okay, other than that, unless you have questions, which I'll hang around for a few minutes, that is it. I hope you enjoyed doing these fun folds. I always think it's fun to learn something new, and I really think that some of this paper that we were able to use is quite beautiful. So thanks everybody for joining us, and I guess that will be it. I'll just hang in here for a couple more minutes to see if anyone has questions. I will be uploading this video to YouTube, and I will email you or message you the YouTube link for this so that you can go over these if you got behind or had trouble. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Susan. If you had trouble or you got behind, you will have that YouTube link to be able to, you know, to do it in your own time. Okay? Thanks, everyone. Good. Thanks, Grace. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad you liked the cards. Okay. All right. Well, oh, thanks, Noreen. Thanks, Lisa and Steph. Thanks, Carol. Okay, I'm going to be signing off then. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Wanda and Sue. Terry. Oh, dear. Well, you can also just message me if you have questions too. Okay? All right. Bye-bye. Thanks, Tammy.